let's talk about ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Kind of in the same vein, right? So
Yeah.
AI, cryptocurrency, we talked about how those two things kind of have a converging path.
Well, this clip is circulating around the internet, on X in particular. Apple reveals their OpenAI's ChatGPT partnership. It's going to be coming out in September, in particular with Siri. But let's play this clip for those of you who this is news to. We'll learn about it together.
So we're integrating them right into your experiences. And we're starting out with the best of these, the pioneer and market leader ChatGPT from OpenAI, powered by GPT-4o. First, we build support into Siri, so Siri can tap into ChatGPT's expertise when it might be helpful for you. For example, if you need menu ideas for an elaborate meal to make for friends using some freshly caught fish and ingredients from your garden, you can just ask Siri. Siri determines that ChatGPT might have good ideas for this, asks your permission to share your question, and presents the answer directly. You can also include photos with your questions. If you want some advice on decorating, you can take a picture and ask, what kind of plants would go well on this deck? Siri confirms if it's okay to share your photo with ChatGPT and brings back relevant suggestions. It's a seamless integration. In addition to photos, you can also ask questions related to your documents, presentations, or PDFs. We've also integrated ChatGPT into the system-wide writing tools with Compose. You can create content with ChatGPT for whatever you're writing about. Suppose you want to create a custom bedtime story for your 6-year-old
All right,
who
let's
loves
pause it.
butterflies and salt.
So they're rolling it out. You can find the video online. We can include a link, but we just share it because you may not have gone deep down the rabbit hole. I'm just starting myself, but nonetheless, this is a significant move. Think of the I guess the way to put it. Think of the horses in the race, not necessarily. Don't think about yourself. Think about what's actually happening. Where the current leader in artificial intelligence, as it relates to consumer interaction, is now partnering with the leader in one of the most significant consumer products we have, and they're coming together for an experience that, having used ChatGPT, if you've used it, you know that at the bedrock, it's user input. It's user input that gives the model or the technology its, I guess in business terms, its value proposition for you as a consumer. So this is not a small deal. It may seem like something basic, like, oh yeah, it's integrating with Siri, but this is a big deal because of the institutions involved. And so not everyone is pleased about this.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the concerns behind it are, we already know that a lot of these apps and phones are running things in the background, like location and GPS, or, some of the patents that like Facebook has where they can actually use audio and listen. The fact that your phone takes infrared pictures constantly on a regular cadence to kind of help it figure out where it's at and where it's located in space. What's the next step, right? And so there's always step one of many other things to come. And if it does in some way, shape, or form in the future start monitoring all of our activity on the phone, that's a huge security problem. And you kind of saw this rise back up in 2020, right? You saw Brave as a search engine and a browser kind of come back on top. People picking up Signal as a way to communicate outside of, Facebook and all these other channels. And so we've been looking at it for a while, but I do think you're going to start to see this divide of people who are like privacy first. And that is a good segue into kind of what Elon Musk was talking about, right?
Correct. So Elon, which you guys know, if you listen to the podcast or you follow Elon, he's really, very much so, not the biggest fan of some of the moves OpenAI has been making. But this story reads from Yahoo Finance. Elon threatens to ban Apple phones. In particular, he's talking about like within his offices of his companies. He will essentially make people get rid of them when they come through the door.
Correct.
Right? So Elon Musk says he'll ban Apple phones from his companies if the tech giant integrates OpenAI technology at the operating system level. The billionaire says visitors to Tesla and his other firms would have to check their iPhones at the door. In a social media post, he calls the integration plan an unacceptable security violation. He says it was patently absurd that Apple isn't smart enough to make their own AI, and yet is somehow capable of ensuring that OpenAI will protect your security and privacy. The threat came hours after the iPhone maker announced the partnership, which we just featured to you. AI services will be embedded across the company's products. The launch is meant to satisfy investors who excuse me on this one. I'm going to skip down here just a little bit. This is actually bringing out quotes from the other people involved that are not Musk. So his concern is privacy. His concern is about when people bring these devices to his buildings, that what's happening in the business would be exposed to ChatGPT, subsequently Apple, so forth, and everyone else.
Let's just say that you've built an exclusive algorithm tool, technology, something to that effect, and then you plug it into OpenAI, it effectively becomes public information. And now anybody can draw on that information by prompting the engine to give them feedback. And so you're going to start to see policy in and around those types of things for sure. Yeah.
Well, so one thing to note on this is that if he's talking about, he's not just talking about his businesses, and his tone is not just around his businesses. His tone is about the actual move itself and why they're choosing to make that move, and that it compromises user data and privacy. And so, and there's actually I'm going to show you this tweet he put out this morning, or last night. It's just a picture, but
it was him talking about the phone.
He says, this is how Apple intelligence works. So we have Apple, we have iPhone, then we have OpenAI, and then your data just sucking. So the Apple is, if you can't see the picture, the iPhone, she's consuming the iPhone, and instead of sharing the iPhone, it's sucking the data from the person's mouth. So, unfortunately, many of us don't understand this. I would categorically put myself there as well.
I don't entirely either, but I can inference.
Yeah. I would love to hear him explicitly say, what is his concerns about data and privacy? And
did you see his other one where he was talking about what if Tesla made their own phone? Did you see that?
No, but that's been in talks for years now, though.
But I think he's seriously considering it now as more of a privacy issue. And in order for somebody to come and create that type of phone that would compete with an iPhone or even an Android for that matter, they have to have some pretty large platform in order to be competitive to break in
distribution now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the people that are Twitter users would go, I might give that a go.
Yeah.
And knowing him, he would probably give the phone away effectively for free so that they would get adoption. And then once it's adopted, then they would, sell service apps, whatever.
Yeah. Well, Roger that. I would love to know more. Cole, if you might have to give us a breakdown afterwards on just like some of those concerns, but it's just significant because we're talking about heavy hitters at the crux of arguably the most innovative technology we've seen to date. And someone who could gain a lot is such an outspoken critic of these moves. What does he know that we don't know when he was involved in the project?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have to pay attention to it as business owners.